Good morning, everybody. Welcome into Let's Bet It here on Pickswise and Pickswise.com. I'm Mark Zeno, joined by Jared Smith as we get you set for this Sunday of Memorial Day weekend and all the action coming up. Make sure you guys subscribe to our Pickswise YouTube channel and let us know in the comments what your picks are, what games that you're on. Of course, so make sure you download the Pickswise app. It's available at the Apple Store and Google Play. And let's welcome in Jared Smith. Good morning, buddy. Happy Memorial Day weekend. I hope you've been kicking back and cashing some tickets, brother.
Yeah, good morning. It was a great night for our Rangers. LJ, the Ice Queen, struck again with a three-way. I was exhausted, so I've been up early. I can hear my dog snoring right now. He gets the advantage of sleeping through the show, but I have to wake up early to take him out every morning. Adjustment for me. I know you're military guy, you're up early every day. How do you cope with waking up at 5:30, 6 in the morning to walk the dog? Like, to me, I need to take like naps like 3-4 times a day now to get through the night games.
Well, you live in a city, you can't do this. I just installed a doggy door, so the dog walks outside on its own. I don't have to worry about that. So, you know.
So you're telling me I can move to a fenced yard and just let him out?
Yes, that's exactly the way to do it. You don't have to worry about it. Teach the dog to walk through the doggy door and you're good to go. But yeah, listen, man. It's a way of life. Either you're a morning person or you're not, and that, and, you know, a ton of coffee has gotten me through some tough mornings, to say the least. But we got a full card here, Jared. Better up NHL Ice Picks, of course, NBA Morning Radar, and our plays of the day. And let's start here. Let's bet it with our better segment. The YRFIs yesterday went 11-6. It's flip-flopped again. YRFIs are now 350 and 344, so that's just a shade over 50%. Atlanta has had 6 straight NRFIs. The Chicago Cubs have had 4 straight YRFIs, and the Chicago White Sox 4 straight NRFIs. So in the Baltimore Orioles, one more here, Jared, scored a first inning run for the first time since May 8th, 20 consecutive games without a run in the first inning. So I will defer to you. Any NRFIs or YRFIs on your card today?
Yeah, it's wild with Baltimore. I was actually looking at their NRFI today because I thought there's no way they score in the first inning 2 straight days. But then I saw that they played 2 games yesterday, so they really went 1-1 with their scoring ever. So it was, I don't know, my brain works in weird ways like that. But I do have a YRFI on my card today. It is the Blue Jays and the Angels. Now, I'm pretty sure, well, you're not in a DraftKings state, but anyone that has DraftKings odds this weekend, we all received 10 profit boosts for 25%. So that are just used for baseball bets. So all of the baseball odds that I'm betting this weekend, basically, I'm getting really significant price boosts on them. So keep that in mind when you are placing these wagers, because if you don't have a profit boost, I wouldn't necessarily recommend this at -115, -120, which is where the line actually is. But I moved this to +108. And again, if it's a plus money YRFI, I feel confident firing away. I still would consider playing for maybe a half a unit at that minus money price. But it's Jose Barrios against Patrick Sandoval. Both guys have actually been pretty good. Barrios 7-2 to the NRFI this year, 4-1 on the road. But against this Angels lineup, he really struggles. 302 average and 50 plate appearances. And if you want to micromanage that even more so, against the 2-3 hitters, which are going to be the RBI guys in that Angels lineup in the bottom of the first inning, Ohtani and Trout, 7 for 22. That's over 300 batting average against. So Barrios certainly has been touched up by the heart of that Angels lineup. Sandoval on the other side, again, he hasn't allowed a run in 4 home starts in the first inning this year, but his walk rate's over 10%. His expected FIP is 3.48, which is significantly higher than his actual FIP of 2.29. Of course, these are first inning numbers. And it's a small sample size against Toronto. but 16 plate appearances. So we'll see how he fares in what will likely be a fresh look for this Blue Jays lineup that has been very hot in the first inning of late. 3 out of the last 4 games have been a YRFI, and it's been 3 times that they've scored in those games. Angels on the other side, 3 of the last 4 YRFI, conceded 3 times. Of course, the teams have played each other over the weekend, and also they also scored a run 1 time. So again, the handicap here is just the middle of these lineups. Guerrero, Bichette, Ohtani, Trout, very strong against pitchers that I think maybe are good pitchers, but numbers not quite as strong when you look a little deeper. So we'll go YRFI, Angels, Blue Jays at plus 108.
All right, let me get a couple of NRFIs in here for you. One of them, Kansas City at Minnesota. You get Sonny Gray going for the Twins against Zach Greinke of the Royals. Now, Minnesota is one of the best teams in Major League Baseball at not allowing runs in the first inning. They're just 19% of the time. That is third in Major League Baseball. They're second Major League Baseball in first inning runs allowed on average at just 0.3. Only the Yankees have a better first inning runs allowed on average number than Minnesota. Plus, Kansas City is bottom 5 in the league in first inning run scored percentage. So we don't have to worry about that part. Now, the tough part here is Minnesota, who actually is one of the better first inning scored percentage teams in Major League Baseball. But they're going up against Zach Greinke. Now, Greinke got touched up and banged up in his last start out against Arizona. I remember I picked a NRFI in that game and was on the wrong side of it because Arizona and Kansas City don't score. Both teams combined scored 7 runs in the first inning. But Greinke should have a bounce-back start here. He's better during the day than he is at night. You get the 1 o'clock Central start time, 2 o'clock Eastern start time here. And Greinke should be able to get me through the first inning here with Minnesota untouched. I get it at a great price at minus 104 here, so I'll take a NRFI there. Also, this second NRFI correlates with my play of the day. Pittsburgh and San Diego. Now, San Diego is a very middle of the road first inning scored team. Pittsburgh is one of the bottom first inning scoring teams in the league. Pittsburgh is starting Roansy Contreras today. This is a young, hard-throwing right-hander who is a reliever turned starter. He's got at least 5 strikeouts in each of his last 3 appearances. He should do enough to get me through the first inning here and not allow a run. It's right at my limit at minus 120 to the no run in the first inning here, but it's correlated to a K prop that I like a lot. So we're going to take the NRFI here between San Diego and Pittsburgh as well. K props for you. Well, you're not on K props anymore, Jared. You're on the walk. You're on the opposite here. You're doing the George Costanza. You're on walk props now.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite Seinfeld scenes. Well, if you want to do the opposite, you order the salmon, right? Because the tuna swim upstream and the tuna swim downstream, upstream. I forget which way they swim, but that is one of the best Seinfeld bits of all time. Yeah, well, listen, I think, and over the course of a baseball season, for example, have you ever run an actual marathon before? I take it you've run some long distances in your life, right?
Yes.
When you're running a marathon, there are parts of your 26.2 mile journey where you throttle up and you throttle down. You're not going to run full go the whole time. You're going to be tired for a little bit. Maybe you take a little bit of a break. 1 mile, you're a little slower. 1 mile, you're a little faster, et cetera, et cetera. I've reached the point in my baseball handicapping season where I'm getting a little frustrated. I'm getting a little bit snake bitten with some K props. I mean, the one on Dallas Keuchel the other night, the guy got DFA'd yesterday, still went over his K prop in his last start somehow. So I'm switching up the handicap a little bit. The foundation of the handicap is still the same. You look for pitchers, if you're betting an under on a K prop, that are going to struggle against the lineup. And if you're betting an over on a K prop, that are going to do well against the lineup. But the walks, in my opinion, and again, it's only been recently that I'm starting to see sportsbooks offer these. DraftKings, Bet365 are the 2 ones that mainly offer them. But it's a lower number. So strikeout props, for example, if you need an over 4.5, you need 5 events to occur for you to hit your bet. Well, today I'm betting on 3 walk props that are all over 1.5. That means I only need 2 events to occur. Slightly less variance, perhaps, but also the price discrepancies are very interesting. So let's talk about your guy first, Roansy Contreras. I got this at minus 135. Again, keep in mind the profit boosts are factoring in here at DraftKings. This is a minus 160 that I moved down to minus 135. So Fangraphs has him projected for 2.4. His last start was his first start ever. And he pitched he went 84 pitches. He walked 2 batters. High-end stuff. I think he's going to strike out a lot of guys too, especially today, but he's going to walk a lot of guys as well. And this is a Padres lineup, 7th highest walk rate against right-handed pitching this season at almost 10%. And it's Contreras' first road start. New mound, new environment. I can imagine there to be some struggles. I wouldn't be shocked if he walked 2 guys in the first inning and we hit this bet right out of the gate. Second, James Kaprielian, over 1.5. We move this from -120 to +104. Projected for 2.1 over at Fangraphs. 4.3 walks per 9 in his starts this season, but he's at home today. His home walks per 9 is almost double than it is on the road. 6.1 compared to 3.4. I don't know why. Maybe he just doesn't like pitching in Oakland. Why would you? It's the shittiest ballpark in all of America. But maybe he just doesn't like that mound. Also, his day game starts, 4.3 career walks per 9 compared to 2.4 at night. A little less control during the day than he is at night. He's gone over this in 3 of 5 this year. The one negative to this, Texas doesn't walk a whole lot. They're actually one of the lowest in baseball against righties this year at 7%. But it's only 1.5. Only need 2 walks to get this across the finish line, and it's a plus money. Finally, this one's juicy, and I totally understand if you don't want to bet this, but this guy is a walk machine, and I'm going to try to give you the math to tell you why it's a good bet. Josiah Gray over 1.5 walks. This is -175 at Bet365. And Mark, I know you're probably like, what are you, crazy? Why am I betting a -175? Well,
you know me and my limits, right? You know me and my limits. Yeah. I don't cross my limits.
This one goes way past your limits. But let's talk a little math, because we hear this a lot, like, oh, it's really juiced. It's a bad bet. All right, just bear with me. -175 implies 63.6% implied odds. Well, Josiah Gray has gone over this in 8 of 9 starts this year. That's 88.9%. Let's widen the sample size. Of his last 23 starts, he's gone over 1.5 walks 17 times. That's 74%. So I still feel like I've got some wiggle room there with -175 implying 63%. If you take his sample size and you widen it to last year, we are still getting a little bit of positive. I think it's plus EV. People might call me crazy for that. Colorado is he's facing the Rockies today, Josiah Gray. Colorado's an average walk rate team, about 8%. So nothing to write home about there. But this is just Josiah Gray, who's projected for 2.27. I think he's going to go over 1.5, and I'm willing to pay 75 cents for it. If I'm crazy, I'm crazy, but we'll see. We're going to go 3-0 with walk props today, and then no one's going to call me crazy after that.
Well, again, I don't endorse it. I understand the handicap, and I get the logic. It's just, I'm hard with my limits when it comes to it, and it's been successful for me. And so I don't want to deviate. Now, again, if we were in a casino or we were in a sports book and I had 11 drinks or whatever, you could talk me into something like that. Why not? But right now, since I am sane and sober, we're not going to go down that road.
You're a disciplined man. I respect that about you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I got one more K-prop here, and then we got a question in the chat from Peter that I want to get to. My other K-prop is Nick Pivetta, the Boston Red Sox against the Baltimore Orioles. Now, Pivetta, since April 26th, he's made 6 starts. In all but one of those starts, he has failed to strike out at least 5 batters. His number is at 5.5. I saw it at DraftKings at even money at 100 and -108 on FanDuel, so shop around. The Orioles have the 5th highest K rate in Major League Baseball. They're averaging over 9 strikeouts a game on the road this season. Plus, Pivetta has had high strikeout games against low K rate teams like the White Sox and the Astros, where he struck out 8 batters each in those games. This is a spot here for Pivetta where he could take advantage of an Orioles lineup that strikes out a lot. Now, Peter's question in the chat was about the NRFI between the Red Sox and the Orioles plus 100. He said he saw it on DraftKings. If I find a strikeout prop like this, where I believe that the guy's going to have a lot of strikeouts, I can take the NRFI, especially when you're getting even money, because you are at least eliminating half of the equation. The problem is that Bruce Zimmerman is going for the Orioles. And you want to talk about machines that give up a lot of runs, Bruce Zimmerman is one of them. That's the real gamble here, if he can get through it. Now, the Orioles have been oddly successful this year, Jared. They are, I think, the second best run line team in Major League Baseball this year. They have been extremely profitable if you're taking them plus 1.5. So it's just a question of when they're going to score. I'm never going to be upset. Yeah, I'm never going to be upset about an even money NRFI or YRFI. I don't think it's a bad bet. So I would back you on it. Just understand, I think your risk and your variance is all on Bruce Zimmerman, not Nick Pivetta.
That's crazy. I'm looking at it now. You're right. Baltimore is 28-20 on the run line this year. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good. So go ahead.
I have one more baseball play, and I want to get your thoughts on this because I'm trying to get ahead of the sports books here, Jared, and
Okay.
before the market correction comes. Looking at the San Francisco Giants and Cincinnati Reds today, you're starting two starters in Alex Wood and Tyler Mahle, who have ERAs north of 6. They are bad. They've been bad.
Yeah.
A total in this game is at 9. I'm going to play the under, and here is why. This Peacock game, this breakfast game that starts at 11:35 on the East Coast. Now, it's the fourth iteration of this. White Sox, Red Sox, first game was 3-2 final, went under. Second game, Padres and Braves, ended 3-3 after 9 innings. Now, the game went over because the Padres scored 4 runs in the 11th inning and ended up putting 10 up total for the game.
Yeah.
It was a 7-3 final. But after 9 innings, I got an under. Last week, it was the Cardinals and the Pirates. It was an 18-4 win for St. Louis. However, I think I attribute that more to St. Louis being a very good offensive team and Pittsburgh being a terrible team overall. I'm trying to discard that. And even though I got 2 pitchers right now with ERAs north of 6, I'm hoping for some positive regression from both of them. And the 11:35 start time. Oh, by the way, that's 10:30 in Cincinnati, right?
Wow.
Are they on the East Coast? Are they East Coast time frame?
No,
or are they West? Are they
actually,
Central?
Cleveland is East Coast. I think so Ohio is where it splits.
Right.
I'm pretty sure.
But anyway,
sure.
My point is it's early, especially for San Francisco, who is on the East Coast. So I'm thinking we'll get a little bit of cobwebs. We'll have a little bit of rust on early on in the morning. 9 is a high enough number for me to go under on this thing, especially when it's only minus 102. Before odds makers start realizing that these Peacock games are going to be lower scoring because of the start time, trying to get ahead of the curve here. Your thoughts?
What about a no-run first inning? I'm seeing at MGM minus 105 for a no-run first inning.
Again, I thought about it there, but I guess my better feeling in eliminating variance was over the course of the whole game.
Fair. That's fair.
One bad pitch and all of a sudden you're down 1-0, and it could stay that way for the rest of
Cobb's numbers are not. I wouldn't play Cobb in a NRFI anyways because his walk rate's over 13% in the first inning. And Tyler Mahle, I think, let me pull it up right now. His walk rate's pretty high in the first inning too, about 9.5%. So probably not, it would be off my NRFI card anyways, just based off of that. I don't mind the under. I think, listen, and it's the same reason why I'm playing walk props today instead of K props. Everyone's betting K props. Not a lot of people are betting walk props. A lot of people bet overs. Not a lot of people bet unders in Major League Baseball. And also that, to me, the Peacock game is new enough to where there is no data that is backing up anything sportsbook related. So if you have a feeling that the games are trending under, the sportsbooks are not booking them that way yet. They're not shading them that way. Not after just 4 games.
Yeah. I mean, that's just, again, something I was looking at, something I thought maybe I could try to get ahead of here a little bit. Just a thought. I don't know if it's going to work out or not. I can't say with any sort of.
Take a chance. It's one unit.
Yeah.
You're not going to wreck your bankroll over one bet.
No. And so from that standpoint, I feel comfortable with at least giving it a shot. So let's see what happens here. It's just something I'm going to keep my eye on these games. We're keeping our eyes on as well the NHL playoffs as the Rangers survive and move on to Game 7 against Carolina, which will be tomorrow night. Standalone game, by the way. Great for the NHL to have at least the New York market on a standalone game with nothing on the NBA going on and only going up against Major League Baseball. You're obviously on the Rangers. I'm not. Look, I've had enough of the NHL at this point in time, but I will say this much. The Rangers have scored 2 goals in Carolina in 3 games in this series. Okay, they've averaged 4 goals a game at home. I'm just going to stick with the home team winning every single game in this series here and back the Canes on the money line.
I can't argue with that strategy. So the odds analysis is why the Rangers stood out to me here. So first of all, the best price available is at the Westgate plus 135. That's a pretty big gap between what's on FanDuel right now at plus 122. But even that plus 135 is shorter than the closing price in Game 5 in Carolina, which was plus 140 for the Rangers. I know because I bet it and I lost. But and again, it could just be the game 7 factor that things are just tightening up. So the books want to shade the Rangers a little bit more. But when I see a team, like you said, that has won 3 home games in a row in this series, they've won all 7 of their home games in the postseason so far. But the line getting shorter towards the Rangers in game 7, my earlobes and my ears percolate a little bit. The radar goes off. Now, it could just be Antti Ranta was so bad last night that they have to move the price. Like the books are just like, hey, listen, he was really bad. He's such a worse goaltender than Shesterkin long term over the big sample size that we finally saw the backup third string Antti Ranta last night, and we have to shade the line because of that. But that's also telling because that means that the Rangers have a massive edge in goal, which they've had all series. But last night it finally, became a thing where he gave up those first 2 goals in the opening period. And those were goals that any above average goaltender stops pretty easily. So I think this is a Ranta fade and a Shesterkin tail at plus money. And I'm not shocked that it's a shorter price than what we saw in game 5. Shortest price of the series for the Rangers on the road.
Yeah. Look, it's going to be great theater for a game 7. The only other thing I really can endorse, to be honest with you, is take Carolina from a value standpoint. Take Carolina minus 1.5 on the puck line, because it's plus money, and hope that it's a 1-goal game in the third period with Carolina and they can bury an empty netter. Now, all 3 games, 2 of the 3 games rather in Carolina have been decided by 2 goals or more. So you have that in your back pocket that Carolina's been able to separate a little bit at home, but we'll see how it goes. Any real thoughts on game 1 between Oilers and Avalanche? I mean, I just take the over because it's plus money and the Oilers 100%. Have been scoring like wildfire.
I'll be honest, I kind of, and I'm sure Lauren and I are going to have heated debates about it this week, but I think Colorado was really tight in game 7, and I did not think they played their best game. I thought they played really well for a stretch of the second period, but for the most part in game 6, St. Louis outplayed them. And now, unlike Edmonton, there's no goaltender edge. Like Husso with Kemper, no edge there. Mike Smith to Kemper, there's no real edge there. Maybe you even give the slight edge to Kemper. But I think Edmonton's offense is much more explosive than St. Louis's. And I think this is going to be a series where I'm going to take a lot of plus money with the Oilers a lot of nights. And maybe I'll bet them 2-1 for the series too. I haven't made up my mind yet. But I am not fully sold on Colorado being this prohibitive. I mean, the way they're priced right now in this series, prohibitive favorite. I am not sold that they are light years ahead of the Oilers, who looked fan-freaking-tastic in Calgary, multiple games against an unbelievable Flames team. Now, to be fair, I thought the Flames were going to struggle a little bit after that Dallas series because that was a physical series, and they were a little soft early. They got their legs about them later in the series, but I still think Edmonton outskated them. So I think the Oilers are very live, very, very live in this series.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I didn't like the way that Colorado played at all. They should have not been in that much of a game or that much of a series rather with the St. Louis Blues. They were clearly the better team, and
especially
sort of
after Bennington got hurt.
Yeah, So go ahead.
No, I was going to say that I think with Bennington, that was the part of the series where a championship team smells blood in the water and finishes the job. And
100%.
I mean, that goal that Darren Helm scored, like it was like the flukiest thing at the end of regulation. Like that game could have went either way. And then if it goes back to a game 7, I would have probably bet St. Louis, but I'm going to be betting the Oilers a lot in this series. I think I really do.
Speaking of blood in the water, that's what the Celtics had against the Miami Heat and could not take advantage in game 6 on their home court as Miami staves off elimination. And we head to a game 7 tonight between the Boston Celtics and Miami Heat. The line at 2.5 total at an incredibly, wildly, insanely low 195.5. I wrote this game up for the Pickswise website as I've done all throughout the NBA playoffs. And I'm back in the Heat plus 2.5, and it's over or pass for me. In fact, I probably feel stronger. The only way this game goes under, Jared, is if it's a one-sided blowout where it finishes like 105-83. Right? Like that's how the game ends.
Yeah. And it very well could be.
Because it brought the line down. And again, they brought it down 6 points from the game 6 line. this is way too much of an overcorrection by odds makers here. But they bring the number down because game sevens are slower. They're supposed to be tighter. They're more low scoring, except for the fact that one thing is the scenario here. If there is a blowout game, okay, the team that's down is never going to stop pushing. Go back to game 7 between Dallas and Phoenix. When Phoenix scored 27 points in the first half of the game, do you remember what they finished that game with, Jared? 90.
I think almost like 90. Yeah, they scored a bunch in the fourth quarter too.
Yes, because they keep trying to score, which means the other team generally continues to have to score. So I'm going over in this game. I feel a lot more confident in that. But my handicap for this game is simply based off of two numbers here, which I'm not going to fade. One, the Heat are getting points. All-time NBA playoffs game sevens, road teams have only won 23% of the time. So it's not in their favor. And then two, the Boston Celtics are trying to win 3 road games in the same playoff series. Milwaukee tried to do it to Boston in the previous series, and look what happened to them in game 7. It's only happened 10 times, Jared, in the last 4 decades. Only 10 times in the last 40 years has a team won 3 road games in a playoff series in NBA history. I'm getting points. I'm not gonna fade those trends here. It's Heat or pass for me. I'll take the Heat and the points here and be happy with and enjoy the game. Not a huge play for me on the Heat, bigger play for me on the total per se, but Boston had their chance and they blew it.
So there's a few things that are very interesting about this game. First, I'll start with I got very cold feet. I don't know if there's an adjective there. I got very skittish last night when I saw a tweet come across from the Boston media saying that the Celtics canceled morning shoot-around and they canceled their pregame media availability. That was weird to me. Now, maybe they're tired. Maybe they've got the South Beach flu. I don't know why on the night of the most important game of the season, the morning of, you would cancel your routine of morning shoot-around and you would not give access to the media to the head coach. And I don't know how Boston Celtics run their media, but maybe a player or two. Could it be health and safety protocols? Maybe. I don't know why they canceled morning shoot-around. I'm just telling you the facts that the Celtics this morning canceled their morning shoot-around and their media availability. Don't know why. Secondly, Scott Foster's refereeing this game tonight. Just throwing that out there in the universe, just putting that into your stratosphere for when you are betting this game. Now, that being said, when you're looking at the spread, I saw one of the analytics guys I follow tweet this out yesterday, and it held true for Game 6. The winner of 21 consecutive NBA playoff games have also covered the spread. 76-9. The winner of the game covers the spread this NBA season, postseason. That is a 90% trend. We haven't had a team win and not cover since Game 4 Grizzlies-Warriors, where the Warriors were like 8 or 9 point favorites at home and they won by a bucket. Translation, if you like the favorite, don't worry about it being too many points to lay. In this case, it's only 2.5. If you like the underdog, just bet the money line. Don't even worry about the spread. Just take the money line and let it rain, because 9 out of 10 times this NBA postseason, if the team that covers, they also win the game. So that's where my head's at here. If you like Miami, you take the plus 122 you see there on your screen. If you like the Celtics, feel confident with laying the 2.5. But again, I got skittish last night when I saw the Celtics canceled shoot-around, and I was fortunate enough that we got in at a Celtics series price at minus 105 that I was able – MGM's great with this. They let you cash out, and it takes what the equity is on the bet, and it spits it back out to a number. I cashed out for a few shekels on my Celtics series bet. I think I made like $2. And on the Jason Tatum series MVP bet, I think I lost like $8. And I'm like, I honestly, after Game 6 and the Celtics blew that game, I think Miami wins this game. And I'm just going to watch and enjoy and have no action. So I don't know what the hell's going to happen tonight, because the first 6 games are completely unpredictable. And the Celtics canceling the shoot-around this morning just irked me in a way that I didn't want to bet on them anymore. And so I officially have no plays here, but I endorse your Miami and over bet. I think that's how I'd play it. Miami and the over.
All right, before we get to our players of the day, let's hit a rewind button. You have an NHL future that you want to get to here real quick before we move forward.
I forgot about this during our NHL segment. I was so excited about my Rangers, Mark. So FanDuel, listen, the free bets, the profit boosts. I guess it's a holiday weekend, and we're getting all this free swag from the sports book. But I woke up the other day with a $150 free bet in my FanDuel account, and I was like, it was burning a hole in my pocket. Like, how am I going to spend this damn thing? And I thought to myself, all right, usually when I get the free bets, I like to put them in the futures market because it's a very high hold percentage market. So when I can make a large wager on a futures bet and have it not impact my bankroll in any way, I like taking those kinds of chances. So I put the 150 on Andre Vasilevsky to win the Conn Smythe. And here's my line of thinking here. I would bet this even if it wasn't a free bet. I would bet it straight up at just a plus 850. For a unit or two. Again, 1.5 units is 150 for me. But the Lightning are plus 250 to win the Stanley Cup. In what universe do the Lightning win the Stanley Cup and Vasilevsky not win the Conn Smythe? So, and I think no matter who wins the East, the Lightning are going to be in the final. And again, it's a numbers bet. We get to the final. If the Lightning are in the final, we'll see what the plus 850 looks like. Maybe we come back on the other side. We bet whoever they're facing. But to me, this feels like a no-brainer here, considering the odds discrepancy between Tampa Bay's Stanley Cup price and what Vasilevsky is to win the Conn Smythe.
All right, good stuff. Let's get to our Pickswise plays of the day. Before we do that, go to Pickswise.com for any 3-star plays. Jared, what are you eyeing up on the site? You know, it's funny. I did see a Major League Baseball mega parlay that I was very interested in.
We do get a mega. Actually, here, we'll go through the mega right now. I don't know who it is today, if it's Ricky or if it's Wilsh.
It's Ricky.
Usually it's set. It's Ricky today? Yeah, Ricky. I mean, listen, our guys, and they don't come on the show and they don't get a ton of pub, but behind the scenes, they are doing like you see all these write-ups on the site. Mark does a few of them. I do a few of them, but the majority of them are done by editors that you never see or hear from on the air, and they do a fantastic job with these parlays. So take a look. Brewers, Angels, and A's all money line. It's 8-ish to 1 plus 810-ish. Yeah. Have fun with that one if you want.
I like it.
There's another one too. Oh wait, no. Sorry, that's not the mega. That's the regular parlay. The mega is Braves, Astros, Guardians run line. It's 44 to 1. Holy shnikes!
Love it. Braves are in a great spot today to win. I mean, they don't want to get swept by the Marlins at home. They got their ace on the mound. I like the Braves in this spot.
Yeah, me too. It's a good spot. Wow, 44 to 1 on a parlay. I might just throw $10 on it just for shits and gigs.
For a goof. Why not?
Just for a goof.
$10. You've spent $10 on worse. Trust me.
Oh, I have spent $10 on worse, like overtime bets.
Yeah, exactly. So go to Pickswise.com for any other of our great 3-star plays of the day. I know we got some golf plays up there as well, but those are the best baseball plays. All right, Jared, your play of the day for today.
Yeah, I'm going to the golf. I'm going to the Charles Schwab today. And, you know, I've got a couple plays on the Charles Schwab. I'll go through my play of the day first. And the other ones, I'll just give them out really quick because they're kind of crazy. So my play of the day, and this is a 2-unit bet. And I don't bet 2 units on pods very often. I think the last one I did was like Georgia to win the Natty back when they faced Bama. This is a 2-unit play. Even odds at BetMGM. Andrew Putnam in a head-to-head over Bo Hostler. This starts at 1:25 p.m. By the way, shout out to Racing Post Steve Palmer, who's one of the best golf cappers we have in our little universe, who alerted me with his article this morning over at Racing Post to this injury that Bo Hostler is currently suffering. So he teed off yesterday with a wrap on his right wrist, aggravated it during the round, shot 73, and just didn't really play that well yesterday, despite having really good rounds on Thursday and Friday. Meanwhile, Andrew Putnam's actually been playing really well. Shot 67 yesterday, very difficult conditions. He's got some of the best short game stats of the week. And if you are familiar with Colonial, the short game, it's a par 70. It's long, and there's usually a lot of longer approach shots. And the short game is huge in this particular course. So I like Putnam's short game over Hostler, who's banged up. And I love the price at even odds. Again, I think this price is more reflective of just the overall numbers and not taking into account Bo Hostler's right wrist injury, which is huge. So I'll go 2 units there. Also, I put a unit on Cam Davis over John Hugh. I love Davis, the Aussie, in these very windy conditions at Colonial today in Texas. And I also put a little schmeckle of a unit, half a unit, on Jordan Spieth to win the tournament without Scotty Scheffler. So you remove Scotty Scheffler from the odds board or from the leaderboard, and you take Spieth's score at the end of the day, and you hope that it's the best score without Scheffler. 23-1 at FanDuel for this price. He's 4 shots off the lead in second place right now, so the lead being without Scheffler. And this is, to me, Colonial, his course. He has 3 runner-up finishes and 1 win in his last 7 starts. So I think he's going to – he hasn't played well this week. His iron game's been off. I bet on him in the top 10. I bet on him outright too. His iron game's been off, and he's a great iron player. I think his iron game's better today, and he's going to thrive in these windy conditions. So, but the real bet I like is the Putnam over Hostler play. That, to me, is a 2-unit wager all the way with Hostler's injury.
All right, for my Pickswise play of the day, I don't do this often, but I'm going to go to a K prop for my play of the day. Why don't I do it often? Because there's just so much variance here, but I have a sort of a good feeling about where I'm going. With Roansy Contreras of the Pittsburgh Pirates. This is a young, hard-throwing right-hander, a reliever turned starter, making his second ever start. Now, Jared, I know you're on the opposite side with his walks, but that shouldn't preclude him going over 4.5 Ks at plus 108. Contreras, in his last 3 appearances, has struck out 5 batters. He's got a 3-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio in his last 3 outings. 2 of them as a reliever where he went 3 innings and struck out 5. 1 of them as a starter where he went 5 innings and struck out 5. San Diego, middle of the road team as far as K rate is concerned, but they strike out about 8.9 times per game, right smack in the middle of Major League Baseball. Contreras, a young, hard-throwing kid here who's going to get me home a plus money over 4.5 Ks. So that's my Pickswise play of the day.
I like it.
Let's go. We can both be winners there. He can get 6 strikeouts and 2 walks, and we can both walk out of there. So
I think we are both going to be winners. And again, you look at Dylan Cease is the perfect example. Dude strikes out 10 guys a game, but walks 4 or 5 batters a game. It's pretty unbelievable. And the theory behind the walk props is still like everyone's swimming in the K props pool right now. There's a lot of rats chasing that cheese in the maze. The walk props, the earned run props, the hit props for the pitchers, similar handicaps, different odds boards because, they're just different bets. So there's not as many people betting them. I think you can be a little more, you get a more favorable line in certain spots. But I think we're both going to hit today with Contreras. So.
All right. Well, listen, we got a lot of action to get to. Of course, we got Game 7 tonight. We'll watch some hockey tomorrow night. Make sure you guys keep it locked here on Pickswise. Follow us on all the social media at Pickswise. Follow Jared at Jared Lee Smith on Twitter. I'm at Markzinno, Markzinno. We appreciate you guys spending your Sunday morning with us. Enjoy the rest of your Memorial Day weekend. And in the paraphrase words of our illustrious host, Lauren Jabara, go get it. Go bet it. Have a great Sunday, everybody.
Memorial Day weekend.